Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Jake here, and welcome back to another Pokemon Go video. And in this video, we're going to be going over my Season 1 Regionals Tournament. So I hope you guys are ready for this. I was very hyped to attend Regionals Season 1. And I would like to thank all of the organizers for the Boston Regionals for, for, for organizing this event and providing a free space for us to use inside of the venue we were playing at. And I'd also like to say GG's to everyone involved, and congratulations to the winner, which we will reveal at the end of this video. And yeah, without further ado, if you guys enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to smash that like button, smash that subscribe, leave a comment down below of what you thought of today's battles. And without further ado, let's get right into the regionals tournament video. Hey everyone, and welcome to round number 1 of my regionals tournament in Boston. And so for round number 1, we're going to be facing off against a trainer named Mr. Treble 802. You'll see his team up on the screen here in these graphics, but just to name it off for you guys real quick. His team consists of Lantern, Skarmory, Beedrill, Toxicroak, Whiscash, and Azumarill. And we are actually going to pick Medicham, Skarmory, and Venusaur to counter his line. Because first thing we see about this is that he is running 3 water types. So 100% we're bringing our Venusaur. And at first, when thinking about this lineup, we were thinking maybe that was a bait so that he could trap our Venusaur with a Skarmory or a Beedrill, which would be a very bad matchup for Venusaur. And then we realized later on in these matches that he didn't always use Skarmory. There were times where I was able to beat either his Beedrill or his Skarmory, and then, you know, he was guaranteed to have a water type there in the back. So we noticed his team was also weak to Skarmory for the most part. I mean, Skarmory's matchups with Azumarill are pretty even. It loses to Lantern. It can beat Whiscash. It will really beat Toxicroak. It will absolutely wall Beedrill, and it will go even with another Skarmory. And then we noticed that Medicham can beat Lantern, can beat Whiscash. Against Toxicroak, I'm not really sure the sims on that one. I think it loses, but yeah, it's going to be beat by Beedrill, and it's close with Skarmory. So anyways, without further ado, let's jump right into this battle. Don't want to waste any more time here. You guys will see the matchups on the screen. And yeah, we're going to open Medicham against a Beedrill. So I was hoping it wasn't going to be Beedrill, but it's whatever. I wanted to open with probably one of the safest openers here, which is Medicham. It has the least losing matchups against his team. So yeah, he does open with one of my counters. So he was going to block that first Ice Punch, which is fine. We're going to fire off a second one to see if we can force him their shield, and he doesn't block, so that's okay. Now we can bring in our Skarmory to farm the rest of this Beedrill, and we want to save our shields here for whatever is in the back. He's going to actually make a switch into his own Skarmory. So this is probably the worst case scenario for our lineup. He brings in a Skarmory and a Beedrill. So that's well played on him. So this means we're going to have to take out his Skarmory. So we're going to at least use one shield to farm up our Skarmory, or his Skarmory, I mean. We're going to shield. Actually, we're not. No, we're not going to shield the Sky Attack. We're going to go with our own Sky Attack to pretty much finish off his Skarmory. And we know his Beedrill has 1 HP left, so that's okay. He brings in Lantern. So right now I know Venusaur is a safe swap. We still have 2 shields. We can easily block this X-Scissor. And now here we're going to actually try to farm Beedrill, but he does have another X-Scissor, which we don't need to block. We know we can finish off this Beedrill. And right here we have a ton of energy. So now he has to block this Lantern, forcing his last shield out after a tad bit of lag. And yeah, as you can see, our Venusaur is almost charged up to another Frenzy Plant. And it's going to one-shot KO that Lantern. And we take game number 1 in round number 1. GG's to Mr. Trouble 802 in that one. Let's move on to game number 2. Alright guys, Welcome to game number 2 of my regional tournament in round number 1 versus Mr. Trouble 802. And going in this one, we're going to pretty much run the same exact team. We don't think he's going to open with Beedrill again, but let's see how it goes. So to start this off, we're going to lead Metacham, and look at that. He leads Beedrill again. He actually leads Beedrill every single game in this round. You guys are going to see it in the next game, but he's just going to lead Beedrill every single time. So right now we're going to use Ice Punch here. Power Up Punch is definitely not the preferred move. It's going to do barely anything to Beedrill. You might as well just go straight for Ice Punches here. And he's actually going to block this. Oh no, he doesn't. He does not block this second Ice Punch. So we have Beedrill at pretty much 1 HP. He does have the switch advantage. After we finish off Beedrill with our Skarmory. So he's now going to switch into his Lantern. And in the moment, I'm like, I gotta switch to Venusaur here. I wanted him to use his energy on me, but he was smart and he waited it out. And he switches into Skarmory. So this is a bad scenario for us. We're gonna lose this game. In this game, he actually has quite a bit of lag, so you guys are gonna see what happens here. But yeah, our Venusaur has absolutely no chance against the Skarmory. And he has a shield advantage, and he has a Lantern in the back. So this is not looking good for us at all. I'm trying to maybe switch out of there, but I just don't have enough HP to wait out the clock that much. So yeah, we're going to bring in our Skarmory, and we're going to farm the rest of his Skarmory. And now he has a 1 shield advantage, a Lantern, versus our 1 shielded Skarmory. We're just going to go for Flash Cannon here. He's going to block that. And yeah, this is going to be a GG. But in this last little matchup here, he actually encounters a lot of lag. So my Skarmory is actually going to be able to win this match. Just due to the fact that he was lagging so much. As you can see here in the end, he stops tapping. Well, he doesn't stop tapping, it's just a lag. You see how he just only gets 1 water gun off every like two air slashes from Skarmory. He was lagging here. I feint his Lantern, but we both agreed that he won that game. If it wasn't for lag, he would have obviously won. A 2 shield Lapras a 2 shield Lantern will definitely beat a 1 shield Skarmory in pretty much any scenario. And it was pretty much full HP on top of that. So yeah, we both agreed he won that game. We didn't have to do a rematch because we had already had enough Wi-Fi or data issues with his phone. We had to restart the first game several times. So yeah, we didn't want to keep anyone waiting, so I just let him have it because, you know, that's fair. He would have won that game anyway. So we're going to move on to game number 3, and let's see who takes round number 1. Alright guys, so going into the final game of round number 1, we have a Skarmory lead. So we're going to switch the flow. We're going to go Skarmory. We're going to put Metacham in the back, and we're going to have Venusaur in the middle. Because we still know he's most likely going to run at least 1 water type. So we want to have the strong check to that. And we also want to have our Metacham for probably one of these safest picks. And we're going to go for kind of a risky pick and lead with Skarmory, but let's see how we do. So right before this match, he was actually telling me about how he was surprised he got to lead Beedrill 2 games in a row and win the matchup. So this time I go Skarmory and he leads Beedrill yet again. So we get the switch advantage here. We have a Venusaur with Frenzy Plant ready to go on his Lantern. We're going to kill that Lantern here any second, and we're going to eat this Thunderbolt because we don't want his Skarmory to farm that much energy off of our Venusaur. And you'll see here in 1 second that he doesn't farm that much energy, so we're going to switch into, let's see, we're going to switch into our Skarmory. It takes him 1 more Air Slash to get off that Sky Attack there, and we're going to go for our Sky Attack. So yeah, this is just one of those mirror matches that's going to take forever to play out. No need to shield anything here, but I do shield that Sky Attack because I don't know, I thought maybe he would have like Toxicroak or Whiscash in the back. But we're going to actually swap here into Metacham. We're going to eat that Sky Attack. because I really thought in the back. Oh yeah, he had the Beedrill. That's why I blocked actually. I completely forgot. So yeah, that's why we blocked our Skarmory, because we wanted our Skarmory to ensure a win against Beedrill. We didn't want Medicham to have to face Beedrill, so that's why we pretty much sacrificed our own Medicham. We're gonna block this X-Scissor, although it would do like no damage. But we just wanted to ensure the win there, and we take round number 1. Moving on to round 2, 1-0. So far, we felt good about that. I was more so surprised by the fact he led Beedrill 3 games in a row. So yeah, well played and good games, Mr. Trouble. We're moving on to round number 2 versus Tawe 86. Let's see what happens. Alright guys, welcome to round number 2 of my Boston Regionals tournament. We're facing off against Tawe 86, and his team, he's actually running Venusaur, Skarmory, Azumarill, Alolan Marowak, Probopass, and Medicham. So a pretty meta team, besides the fact of Alolan Marowak, which I was pretty worried about honestly, and you'll see in these 3 games, he didn't run it a single time, so this kind of threw me off. So here we're going to lead with Bastiodon, because we noticed that it beats Skarmory. It can beat Azumarill if it has Ice Beam. It beats Alolan Marowak. It does okay against Probopass, although it does lose, and then it loses to Medicham. So we mainly wanted to protect our Venusaur here against Skarm, so that's why I opened with Bastiodon. And then we had Skarm in the middle because Bashy and Skarm work very well together. Bashy can beat the Melmetal that beats Skarm. It can beat a lot of other things that Skarm can't, like Venusaur and Azumarill for the most part. And so yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this battle. Sorry about that cut, guys. I had to restart the recording because we actually had to replay that match out because of a technical issue. But anyways, we're gonna lead Bastiodon in here versus Skarm. He's gonna switch into Medicham, so we're gonna switch immediately into Skarmory. We read his lead pretty well, so now we're in a good positive scenario, where Skarmory can definitely take out Medicham. And we're going to force his first shield with Sky Attack. We block his second Power Up Punch because that's the one you want to block. We're also going to block his third Power Up Punch because we want to win this matchup. We're going to feint his Medicham there, and let's see what he brings in next. So he's going to bring in his own Skarmory as expected. And now we know we can freely switch into Bastiodon because the Medicham threat is gone. But look at that, he has a Azumarill, so immediately we switch out really fast to Venusaur. And we're going to use Frenzy Plant, which is going to burn his last shield, and now is the time to see what he has. So he actually has Hydro Pump and Play Rough, based on that, because he would just go for Ice Beam if he had it. And now we are up against his Skarm, and we have Bastiodon in the back with a Flamethrower ready to go. So this is going to be a GG, well played in game number 1. He is going to hit us with the Flash Cannon there, but yeah, Bastiodon is just too tanky, and we're going to ultimately win that game. So yeah, we get to tell that his Azumarill is definitely running Play Rough Hydro Pump because he went for the Hydro Pump instead of, you know, Play Rough. And obviously any smart user would know that Ice Beam is super effective to Venusaur, so yeah, let's get into round number 3. Or game number 2, sorry. Alright guys, going into game number 3. Here against Tawe. Or Tawe, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. But yeah, sorry about that. We're actually going to take out Bastiodon and lead with Haunter. Because we were expecting him to make changes to his team. Ideally we wanted him to switch his lead into Medicham, thinking maybe we'd lead with Bastiodon again. So that's why we put in Haunter there. We wanted to try him out in the lead scenario. We saw he had several positive matchups against things like Venusaur, Azumarill, Medicham, and it can do damage to a low Marowak. And then Probopass is the only really awful scenario for it, as well as Skarmory. So let's get this battle underway and see what happens. So, we're going to lead Haunter, and let's see what he brings out. He brings out Probopass, so this is probably worst case scenario for us. We know Haunter can't win this matchup, unless maybe it double shields. But yeah, we wanted to switch there, but we weren't able to, so we're going to have to block this Rock Slide. And we're going to go for another Shadow Punch here, and see what happens. So he doesn't shield. So here I really wanted to use my last shield on Haunter, but then again I didn't want to. So we let our Haunter fall there, and now we're going to bring in Skarmory. So this is where I kind of got in a bad scenario, because Venusaur would be the faster kill against it, but that means our Venusaur would be trapped against a Skarmory. So instead we opt to go Skarmory, and we have to shield that Thunderbolt obviously, but now we have extra energy versus his Skarm. We can all lay it down there, but he does have the 2 shield advantage, so this is really bad for us. That lead really put us in a bad scenario. And yeah, he's going to finish off our Skarmory here, and now all we have left is Venusaur, and he still has 2 shields, so this is going to be game over. Skarmory barely survives with 1 HP left, and he's going to faint out our Venusaur. So well played in game 1. I mean game 2. Oh my god, I keep getting mixed up between these games. But yeah, let's move on to game 3 and see who takes round number 2. Alrighty guys, so on to game number 3 of round 2. We're going to go back to what worked for us with the Bastion lead, and he's going to lead Probopass for the 2nd time in a row. So this is a slightly negative matchup for us. We're going to lose if no shields are deployed. And so here we're going to farm up some energy, and then we're going to make a swap into Medicham. And we actually get him to use Rock Slide on us. So he burned his energy there, and now he's going to switch into Skarmory. So that's a good switch, but we are going to start ramping up our Medicham here. We're going to get off a second Power Up Punch, which we assume he's going to block, but he actually doesn't block. So we actually want to block here. We want to have a favorable matchup against the Skarm, which we do. So now he's going to bring in his own Medicham. And this is where things got scary, because I didn't bring Skarmory this matchup. So I only have Venusaur deal with this Medicham. Ideally, I should have just went for that Ice Punch on his Medicham, because ultimately I think that's what caused me to lose this game. Spoiler alert. But yeah, we're going to have to block that Power Up Punch. We had to assume it would be Ice Punch. And now we're just going to try to burn his last shield. We're going to actually make a swap into Bastion, because we burned his last shield and we wanted to see if we could KO Medicham, but we could not. So we made him waste his energy on our Bastion. And now our Venusaur has 1 HP left. And look at that. We can't get to the Frenzy Plant. Spark. Unlucky. Spark faints our Venusaur. And we take the L in round number 2, guys. So, yeah, that pretty much means we are out of being able to win this regional. But that's okay, guys, because after this round, I was determined to win the rest of my games. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But at this point, I was a little bummed. Well, not a little. I was very bummed and a little annoyed that I wasn't able to get that Frenzy Plant, because that thing had so, like, Frenzy Plant chunks down Probopass, and I just wish I knew if I would have won that game if I could have gotten the Frenzy Plant off, because its health was, I think, in the range to die to 1 Frenzy Plant, but it is what it is. We take an L in round number 2 And GG's and well played to Taway86. Um, yeah, I was really expecting a different lineup from him. I expected Alolan Marowak in most of these games, but he didn't run it at all. So interesting play there. And let's move on to round number 3. All right, guys, welcome to round number 3 against Harris Inc. in the Boston Regionals. So to start this round off, we're going to explain our team comp and why we chose what we chose. So his team comp was consistent of Medicham, Skarmory, Altaria, Haunter, Azumarill, and Bastiodon. So right off the bat, the first thing I noticed was he's running 2 flyers. So that's really interesting. And this leads me to actually, let's move this back here 1 second. Okay, this leads me to open with Azumarill, because first off, he doesn't have a grass type. Second off, his only Azumarill counter here would be Haunter. So his team is very, very weak to Bastiodon and Haunter, or Bastiodon and Azumarill, sorry. So yeah, Azumarill has positive matchups against Medicham, Skarmory, Altaria, Bastiodon, because mine is running Hydro Pump, and it's a mirror match against Azumarill. So we know we're going automatically with Azumarill lead. We have Bastiodon in the middle to take care of a Skarmory and Altaria, a Haunter, and the mirror match Bastiodon, just in case our Azumarill can't kill Haunter. And then we have Skarmory in the back to take care of Medicham, Haunter, and Altaria, and then we can mirror with a Skarmory if needed. So yeah, that's my team comp for this match, for this game, and let's see how it goes. So again, this is game number 1 of round 3, to keep you guys updated. And look at that, he opens with Medicham. So yeah, he is aware his team is weak to Bashty, so that I presume that's why he opened with it. But he switches into Haunter, so that means Skarm gets some free energy here. He's going to actually use Sludge Bomb. I almost shielded that because I was thinking maybe he had Shadow Ball. So here he shields my Sky Attack, which means we're going to shield the Shadow Punch because we don't want Haunter to kill a Skarmory there, and we got some free energy off that. So now he brings in his Altaria, which is really good. We're going to force his last shield out with a Sky Attack. We both lagged a little bit there, but that's okay. I gave him some free shots, and now we're going to bring in the absolute wall to Altaria. So here it comes, Bastiodon. We have our Switch Screen open for when he switches back into Medicham. And look at that. We get that off perfectly in time to soak that Power Up Punch. And now he's unshielded. So Azumarill is going to have a field day with his Medicham. We don't need to block anything else from here on out. And he uses, weirdly enough, Ice Punch, which isn't the best move in this scenario. And all he has left is that Altaria. So this is a good game. I already knew I won this after that Altaria showed up. Obviously, I wasn't underestimating my opponent, but his team had some very, very glaring weaknesses to it. So, yeah, we exploited that quite hard there. And we take game number 1 with 2 Pokemon remaining. And let's move on to game number 2. Alright, guys, game number 2 coming your way right now. So we're going to actually just go with the same lineup, same order, everything. Because we have a lot of confidence in this team of 3, because it's just his team is just so weak to it. So like, why not run it again? So he's gonna open Skarmory this time, which is still a positive matchup for us considering we have Hydro Pump on our Azumarill. We don't block that Sky Attack because it's standard for you to forego your shield there. But we actually are able to hit him with Hydro Pump. So this means we're going to block this second Sky Attack. We want to farm energy here. And at this point, we have tons of energy stored to nuke whatever comes in next. And let's see what comes in next. It's going to be an Azumarill. So that was expected. That's really his only Azumarill counter other than Haunter. But looks like he's not running it here. So we're going to switch into Skarmory, actually. We were hoping it was Ice Beam, so we didn't block. And now he switches into his Altaria, which I'm not really sure why he ran Altaria again, considering my team has so many counters to it. But he's going to use both shields on his Altaria, which is really good for us. we're completely fine with that because we have the wall ready to come in. And now we can just farm, which is exactly what we're going to do here. We don't need to block anything. Dragon Pulse is going to do essentially nothing. And yeah, this is just game over here. He's going to bring in that Azumarill. But he has no shields, and we still have a full shield ready to go. And we're going to finish off Azumarill right after this. We're going to finish off Azumarill with the Stone Edge. And we actually beat our round 3 opponent 2-0, and now we're moving on to round number 4. Now, at this point, we are 2-1 in regionals, so overall, we definitely want a chance to make Worlds now, but it's going to have to come down to a tiebreaker, and I'm going to have to win out the rest of these games. So let's see what happens in round number 4. Alright guys, welcome to round number 4 of my Boston Regionals. We're going to be going up against our opponent named Jack Bergkamp. I think I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I assume it's his real name, but yeah, we're going to take a look at his lineup here. He's running Azumarill, Skarmory, Melmetal, Medicham, Sableye, and Whiscash. So, right off the bat, we want to run a support system for Azumarill and Venusaur here. So we're going to have Medicham in the middle to counter his Melmetal and to counter his Whiscash. And then to support Medicham, we're going to run Azumarill to counter Sableye, to counter Medicham. It also beats Whiscash. It beats Skarmory as well, and then it can mirror Azumarill. So his only real answer to a Whiscash in this lineup is a Melmetal or an Azumarill. And then we want to run Venusaur here to hard counter his Azumarill so we can protect our Medicham. Venusaur doesn't do great against Melmetal, but it will hard beat Whiscash, it can beat Sableye, and it can do pretty well against Medicham depending on shields and energy. So yeah, we're running Azumarill as a lead, Medicham as the support mainly, and then Venusaur as the other support and the closer. So ideally we want Venusaur in a closing matchup with at least one shield against something that he beats. So let's get right into round 4 matches. Against Jack Bergkamp. So we open Azumarill, he opens with Medicham, so that's really good for us. We have the lead advantage here, and now he's going to switch into Skarmory. So we're going to actually stay in here with Azumarill. We're going to fire off a Hydro Pump, and he doesn't block. So people in this regionals clearly aren't expecting Hydro Pump on Azumarill, which is good for me. We're going to block the Sky Attack because we want to, at this point, farm energy. We're going to go for the Play Rough to either Beta Shield or finish off Skarmory, and we finish off Skarmory, so that's great. And we know his Medicham is here, but he decides to come back in with it, so interesting choice. He's going to block our Play Rough, which is good. We burn a shield there. At this point, we know we can mirror Medicham here, but it is powered up, so that could be a problem. He goes for the Ice Punch there, which he didn't have to. He could have just farmed me the rest of the way. So now we're going to go for Medicham. And he's going to actually switch into a Sableye, so that's good. We switch immediately into Venusaur. And we're going to block that first foul play because we know we need as much HP as we can get. And we're going to fire off our first Frenzy Plant there and burn his last shield. So this is now just a race to the charge moves, and that foul play brings us really low. And look at that, we actually can't get off our Frenzy Plant there once again, but we're gonna finish off his Sableye with an Ice Punch, and all he has left is this Medicham. So this is where I'm debating: do I go for Power Punch or Ice Punch? I go for Power Punch to save some energy, and I can go for another Power Punch and feint his Medicham. So I think in that moment he gasped because he actually had the energy for another Power Punch, but I honestly think going Power Punch there was the right play, because if we went Ice Punch, if we went Ice Punch there, he would have beaten us to another Power Punch, and that would have feinted us. I don't think Ice Punch would have feinted him from that point. So GG's in game number 1 of round 4. Let's see what happens in game number 2. Alright guys, so going into game number 2 here of round 4, we are going to open with Bastion, Azumarill in the middle, and Haunter in the back. So this lineup is definitely a different one for me. So this was a mind game here. So we know the first game we opened with Azumarill and he led with Medicham. So I wanted to get in his head and basically force him away from Medicham lead. And since we opened Azumarill first game, we were trying to get him to lead with Melmetal here. Or lead with either Skarmory or maybe an Azumarill. So yeah, and then we're gonna have Azumarill to counter Medicham, and then Haunter to counter Medicham. And honestly, I just wanted to have fun in this round and play Haunter. So yeah, let's see how this goes. There was no need for me to pick Haunter, but it actually works out. So look at that. He leads Skarmory. I was hoping he'd think I'd lead Azumarill again, and he's gonna switch into Medicham. So this is exactly how I planned it out in my head. And now we have Haunter, which can just farm energy against this Medicham here. We're gonna block this, assuming it's Ice Punch, which it is. So that's very good. And now Haunter with saved energy is very dangerous. So he's gonna bring in Sableye. Smart pick there. But we're gonna force 2 shields out of him immediately, and we're gonna actually be able to get to a Sludge Bomb, which is huge because we're going to chunk that Sableye down pretty low there. And we just forced both of his shields, which is really good. As you can see, Haunter with charge energy is just a force to be reckoned with, and now we're able to farm energy with our Bastion, and his last Pokemon is Skarmory, so this is going to be GG's here. Bastion was a huge MVP for me this tournament. I caught a lot of Skarmory leads with it. I almost never led it first game. I always tried to like mold. I try to basically I try to mind game people into leading with Skarmory. And so I would lead with Bastion. I didn't see very many leads with Medicham in them thus far, or Azumarill. So yeah, that's why I led with Bastion there. So yeah, we take round 4, 2-0 once again. Let's go. I'm really hyped in this moment. And now we're moving on to the final round, round 5. We were actually only 1 or 2 players off from getting 6 rounds in this tournament, so I was a little bummed to figure out that, to notice that we weren't going to go 6 rounds. So hey, it is what it is. Let's move on to round number 5. We're looking pretty solid. Outside of that one loss, we're now 3-1. Let's see what happens in the final round. Alrighty guys, here it is, the final round. And it's almost time to conclude the tournament. And I'll be telling you guys the results here in a moment. Will we have a regionals winner? Or will we go to extra games and force a playoff match? So, our final opponent... Oh shit, I just spoiled it. Oh well. So our final opponent, his name was Epicritical, and his lineup consisted of Azumarill, Medicham, Skarmory, Venusaur, Melmetal, and Haunter. So a very meta lineup here. That is actually the same as ours, except I have Bastion and he has Melmetal, so that's good for us. So this is actually a matchup where I lead Bastion in the first game. And this is because we see Bastion has 3 solid matchups, and that's against Skarmory, Melmetal, and Haunter. So, you know, my lineup going into it, I knew was really weak to Skarm. So this is why I led Bastion. And then I wanted to have Haunter in the middle to catch a Venusaur, a Medicham, or an Azumarill off guard. And then I ran Azumarill to beat Metacham, to beat Skarm, to beat Haunter in a no shield scenario, and possibly even beat Melmetal in no shield scenario. So ideally, we wanted to burn shields early here so that our Haunter and our Azumarill could finish off the game. So anyways, let's get into this final round, game number 1 against Epic Critical. We open Bastion, and he opens Skarmory. So would you look at that, guys? He switches out into Azumarill. We're gonna farm some energy, and now we're gonna switch it into our own Azumarill. So my mindset behind this was I didn't want to burn 2 shields early with my own Haunter. So we wanted to keep that in the back. And now in this moment we knew his Azumarill was most likely play rough Hydro Pump, considering he switched Azumarill into my Bastion. And now we're getting a little bit of lag. Sorry about this, guys. So I'm giving him a few seconds to reconnect to the battle. So now I go for my play rough, and I was talking to him about the lag. I said it's fine if you want to restart, man. It's no big deal. And he just said essentially it's fine as well. We can just play it out. So I was like, okay. So yeah, he's gonna use both shields on his Azumarill, which I don't know about that play, guys. I don't know about that play. So we're gonna switch into our Bastion and finish off Azumarill with some smackdowns. We wanted to farm energy there, considering he has no shields left. And he brings Skarmory back in, so this leads me to believe his last Pokemon is Haunter, and we're gonna find out right here, right now, if it is Haunter. So we finish off Skarmory, and it's Metacham. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Why would he switch Skarmory into Bastion rather than Metacham into Bastion? Maybe he was trying to trick me out. Into possibly thinking he didn't have Metacham in the back, but we have Haunter regardless, so this is going to be a good game here. He has no shields, and Haunter's just going to eat Metacham for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we take game number 1 of round 5. Let's move on to game number 2. Alright, guys, so here we are. Game number 2 against our final opponent, Epic Critical, in round 5 of the Boston Regionals. And this time we're going to switch out our lead, go with Azumarill. So we wanted him to believe we would go Bastion again, because, you know, most people would think, you know, if I won the opening matchup, round number 1, I just lead it again, right? Because it's up to my opponent to make the switch. No, that's not my mindset at all. So I wanted to switch up the flow. I don't want to give my opponent a chance to even make it to game number 3. So we're going to try to predict a Metacham lead this time around, and we're going to lead with Azumarill. So we're letting Haunter sit out this one. This one we wanted some tankier Pokemon. We didn't want to use shields that early on. So yeah, we're going to lead Azumarill, because we know it has positive matchups against a lot of things in the meta. And yeah, we're going to have Metacham in the middle and Bastion in the back. So let's see how we do. So, in my mind, I'm like, please don't beat Melmetal. Like, that's the only scenario I'd be mad about. And look at that. He leads Melmetal. So, he switches up his lead also. And he leads Melmetal. So, yeah. Interesting lead there. Makes sense, but yeah, we're going to tank that first Thunderbolt, and we're going to go for Hydro Pump here, which, smart enough, he blocks. So, my opponent was definitely smart. He knew of the possibility of Hydro Pump there. Well, yeah, considering we had Play Rough. So, we're going to switch into Metacham here, and now we have our switch clock open, ready to go. And he switches into Skarmory, so that's... He didn't have to really make that switch there. He could have just let his Melmetal die, since Melmetal was able to do its job. But yeah, now we're in a very positive scenario against Skarmory, and we let Flamethrower go. That's okay though, because we knew his Melmetal was pretty low as it was, so now we can just farm energy on from the Melmetal, and we're gonna actually block this. We thought maybe it could be Thunderbolt, and we didn't want Bastion to get extremely low there because his last Pokemon is Haunter. So yeah, he's gonna have to use his shield there, and look at that, we have the energy and we have the health, so that's why I blocked Thunderbolt. And this is the winning moment for me in round number 5, and we take this round 2-0 once again, which means we conclude our tournament 4-1. So yeah, that's the result, guys. That is the final result, and a huge congratulations to the winner of the tournament. His name is Matty Ice 11201. Yeah, he's a very cool guy. Very chill. And yeah, I talked to him, and he actually watches my videos. So we're gonna have. He was actually generous enough to come up to me and say that he watches my videos. I totally respect him as a player, and as a person for, you know, not being embarrassed to come up to me and say hi. I really appreciate the talk we had, and it's awesome that people actually knew me at the tournament. So yeah, as a little note, 2 people in this tournament actually knew who I was as a PvP YouTuber, and that's really cool to see. It's really awesome to know that people around my area in the PvP scene know who I am. Yeah, this is just the beginning of what's to come, guys. So yeah, Matty Ice was cool enough to share his matches with me. So we're gonna have those in an upcoming video here this week. I'm gonna be shoutcasting some of Matty Ice's, or well, not some of, all of his battles in the Boston Regionals, and see how exactly the winner went about his battles. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. This concludes my regionals, my Boston Regionals Cup tournament recap. We went 4-1 against some very talented and good trainers. Clearly, they were strong enough to make the regionals, so well played and good games to everyone. And huge thanks to the organizers from the Boston Regionals Discord. Huge shout out to them. And I'll leave a link to my tournament RSVP in the comments in the pin section down below, so you guys can check that out. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope this video met your expectations. I'm bummed that I didn't win the regionals, but you know, there's always next season. But I'll still be at Worlds regardless of if I make it or not. I'll definitely be spectating or possibly playing if I can qualify through the cutoff, possibly, or through the open tournament held at Friday, held on Friday at GoFest. Bleh. So yeah, you guys will be seeing me there regardless. Yeah, I hope Matty Ice, I hope you do well, man. It was a pleasure meeting and talking with you. And once again, congrats on the win, dude. You clearly are a very talented trainer. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, guys, please don't forget to smash the like, leave a comment down below, and smash the subscribe button for more videos just like these. I really appreciate you for watching and commenting in my videos. And yeah, that wraps it up for my regionals recap today. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Take care.